Hello, my name is Nicole, and thank you so much for taking the time out to listen. Today, I'm continuing with the leadership series, Mental Awareness. Our focus is on obsessive compulsive disorder. The signs and the symptoms, okay? I'm going to pull from the NIMH.gov website. That is the National Institute of Mental Health. Obsessive compulsive disorder, OCD, is a common, chronic, and long-lasting disorder in which a person has uncontrollable, reoccurring thoughts, obsessions, and behaviors, compulsions that he or she feels the urge to repeat over and over. Over on Wikipedia, the obsessive compulsive disorder, OCD, is a mental disorder where people feel the need to check things repeatedly, perform certain routines repeatedly, called rituals, or have certain thoughts repeatedly. People are unable to control either the thoughts or the activities for more than a short period of time. Common activities include hand washing, counting of things, and checking to see if a door is locked. Some may have difficulty throwing things out. These activities occur to such a degree that the person's daily life is negatively affected. Often they take up more than an hour a day. Did you hear that? Most adults realize that the behaviors do not make sense. The condition is associated with tics, anxiety disorder, and an increased risk of suicide. Here we go again, another personality disorder that unfortunately will create these thoughts of wanting to kill oneself, okay? Now, the Bible verses, once again, dealing with mental illness. We're not going to sleep on what the Bible just encourages us, tries to help us through, okay? When these folks come in our direction. Remember, Jesus, he was attracting all sorts of people. And even though the Bible's not clear as to all these different types of people he was attracting, we do know that some of these folks did have some physical illnesses, right? Some of those things were specific, but not in the sense where there were labels. There were no specific things where we could right away say, yes, that is this personality disorder nowadays. Instead, some of the things that we see in the scriptures, we can associate them with different types of personality disorders. But either way, the double-minded man, the unstable man or woman, is someone that is either looking for some type of resources, some help, some prayer when they show up, or that person might have the demons in or around them telling them, going on over there and start some trouble, okay? And that is the thing. The minister or evangelist or deacon or prophet or prophetess or even somebody in management is going to have to discern whether that person is coming in light or coming in darkness, okay? And there's plenty of people who have come to leaders in darkness with all sorts of mental issues and unfortunately took them out of here. Okay? If only that person would have paid close attention and recognized the signs and listened to what the individual said rather than putting them to work in all sorts of environments and trying to brush them away. No, somebody needs some help, and that help is going to go beyond just spiritual types of things. There's got to be a support system of psychiatrists, some folks that are there that are willing to take that person out. Something is going to have to take place. Otherwise, you might be in that situation where it's a kill or be killed type of scenario, okay? And we don't want God's people to be killing anyone because the commandments say thou shalt not kill. So be discerning and pay close attention to who is in front of you and test the spirits. And you can do that with very small tests. And when those small triggers show up, that is when you say, okay, I know who I'm dealing with, and then you back away. I remember there was a time where I did test the spirits with an individual who I would say may have been bipolar or borderline. And this person would show up at my workplace and she would start having these conversations. And the type of conversation, she was very articulate in her speech. So you would not have thought in 1,000 years that she had a mental illness, but she did. And slowly but surely that mental illness was getting worse with each passing day. And eventually there were some folks who were called to take her away. Okay, she had been working with the government and had been involved with all sorts of things. And eventually her programming broke down. And when her programming broke down, she was only but early 30s. When her programming broke down, that's when she started rambling a lot of things. And she was also allowing her body to end up going to the bathroom at times when it wasn't supposed to be going to the bathroom, to put it nicely. Okay, so she lost control of her body. Okay, and it was sad. It was sad to see her go through this. But I did get the opportunity though to pray, not with her, but while she was going through her mind stuff right there in front of me. And she was also just I don't know, she just had a lot going on with her, and she didn't have family and anyone else around. So obsessive compulsive disorder, it shows up sometimes in other personalities, okay, disorders. So it's not just at times labeled as this is what it is and only what it is. Sometimes it's coupled with other things that people go through. Okay. The scriptures say that, once again, we're not supposed to be fearing when these people come around us. But what we are supposed to do is pray for them. We're supposed to love on them. We're to encourage them to cast their burdens onto the Lord. Some people will receive our counsel, others will not. There will be those that will come as false prophets with these sorts of personality disorders. And once again, we're testing the spirits. Some will say that they are called to do this and called to do that, and we find out that they're not called to do anything but be in a hospital somewhere and get the necessary treatment. Okay? Now, there will be those that will come out of some of these things and others will not. Okay? Man says that some of these things are not curable. But as I've said in other audio, that I trust in the Lord, and I believe that God can see some of these people through if they're called and if they're chosen. Other people are under some things due to generational curses. And when you take a look at the family bloodline, you find out that there's a long history of folks that are going through obsessive compulsive, or had been going through obsessive compulsive disorder, as well as other personality disorders. Okay. Philippians 4:6-7, be careful for nothing, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known unto God. If the person is going through a personality disorder like the one that I talked about, you've got to stand in the gap. You've got to have the intercessory prayer, because sometimes their mind is not going to allow them to, or the demons in and around them. Matthew 4:24, and his fame went throughout all Syria, and they brought unto him all sick people, talking about Jesus, that were taken with divers diseases and torments, and those which were possessed with devils, and those which were lunatic, and those that had the palsy, and he healed them. Okay? There are those individuals in this world that God has blessed them with the gift of healing. You may be that one. The reason why folks come in one way and leave out of your presence a different way, and never to act in irrational, bizarre ways again. But then you may not be that one. Okay. And if that's the case, once again, we are directing the people to professional help. Okay. Matthew 17:14-20. Oh, and I just need to add that it doesn't make you a failure either, because listen, I've got to do this. I'm sorry, ma'am, I can't help you. Here is the necessary resources, or you might have to call. In the case with the individual who was at the center where I worked and she was going through much, someone had to call. Okay. At that time, she wasn't going off too bad and people were allowing her to be free, but then her freedom had to be taken away because, she's not able to keep up with her bodily functions, and she's rambling all sorts of things. She used to work for the government. You don't know what she would have done. So things like that, you might have to be that one to pick up the phone and call. Okay. Once again, you might be tempted by somebody with the disorder, but don't fall into temptation. Now, the obsessive compulsive disorder that I spoke of earlier, we're going to talk about some things dealing with that in just a minute. But I tell you that God, His mercy is sufficient. His grace, His all of that. Because some of these people, I mean, they have testimonies after they come up out of these things. Some of them, it was just for a period of time. It wasn't for a lifetime. And so they're able to come out of these things and say, listen, God healed me. And we want that for some folks. We want them to be able to say that God healed me. But some folks, that's not what they can say. This can be chronic. It can last for years or for all of their lives. And people are going to need to have some type of medical diagnosis who have the obsessive compulsive disorder. Anytime something is taking over your life, you got to have a medical diagnosis. And when you can no longer fight it and it's starting to show up and show out, or that person who comes to you, something's got to be done. Okay? We can't continue to walk around as if there is no elephant in the room. Person keeps washing their hands over and over again. We need to go. We need to go. We're always late going to events because you're always washing your hands over and over again. That's a disorder, and that's a disorder that's affecting other people's lives. Why do we want people to continue to struggle and we struggle right along with them? Obsessions are repeated thoughts, as I indicated earlier, urges or mental images that cause anxiety. Common symptoms include fear of germs or contamination. Oh my gosh, why did you put that over there? Oh, stop. Oh, okay, germs. Scared of the germs. Okay? Sometimes there are some things, yes, we're going to have to tell some people, listen, don't do that. That's disgusting. That's nasty. Okay? Clean your hands. But when you got people that freak out, ready to knock somebody out over some germs or fear of being contaminated, okay, we got problems. Some folks who, according to the NIMH.nih.gov site, unwanted, forbidden, or taboo thoughts involving sex, religion, and harm. Okay? What kind of thoughts are going through your mind? And then they keep telling you some things. You know something's going on with them. Aggressive thoughts toward others or self. Having things symmetrically or in perfect order. I don't like you moving this. Stop coming over here, touching that. Well, I have to touch it in order to get to A, B, and C. Well, you need to place it this way and not that way. Uh-oh. They're excessively cleaning all hours of the night, sometimes during the day. Okay, they can't get enough of cleaning. Clean everything. Didn't you just clean that? Yes. Why are you going back and cleaning it? Okay. They've got to order things in a particular way. When they're out of order, they go off. That is not normal. They're checking on everything. They're checking on locks. They're checking windows. They're not just doing this because, okay, it's nighttime and they're fearful that something bad might happen or whatever, okay? Or they don't want the thief to come in through the night. They're doing this all hours of the day, holding people up, interrupting people, okay? They can't seem to control their thoughts, even though you're talking to them. You're telling them, stop with this. They're still doing it anyway. Okay? They might spend an hour or more doing all of these things. Okay? And they're not happy when they're doing them. They're doing them because I have to do them. And they sometimes become visibly angry as they're doing them. Okay? Anytime these things affect your daily life with them, or they're affecting other members around you, workplace setting, church setting, what have you, this is a person that doesn't need to be in the front line. This is a person that needs to be set aside, set apart. They need some help, okay? So, mental illness is real. We do not brush it under the rug. As leaders, we recognize it for what it is. We pray with the person when we can, or we pray from a distance. We get them the necessary resources. If they are incapable of getting those resources or going to where they need to be, then we make the phone calls, okay? Or someone around us who's in authority position, what have you, they can make the phone calls. But either way, the person needs some help. Well, thank you as always for listening. This, for now, completes the leadership series. We will pick it back up. There's so many different disorders to go over. Thank you so much for tuning in. To God be the glory.